Well, what's up again there, guys? Brian here at 3Tier, here to bring you another solid episode of my weekly Q&A show, Top People's Questions, episode 250. We got a pretty basic episode, not too many this time around, but a couple of them I'd say are pretty diverse. I'll jump right into the first question coming from Mr. Macho Wesker 17, and you want to know, what did I get for Christmas? Some shoes and a couple of M&M dispensers. That's really it for the most part. What did you get for Christmas? Next question comes from Matt Cruz, and you want to know, what are my favorite Mass Effect characters? Oh, that's a good one. I would say my favorite ally to use is probably Garrus, and my favorite love interest is Liara, without question. Next question comes from Estenban Leon, and you want to know, you don't know if I've answered this before, but what are my thoughts on the upcoming Dad of War? What is so hard with people accepting the concept that Kratos can be a dad? I mean, you do realize he's been a dad before. He did have a daughter before he became the God of War, so what's this whole notion of, oh, he's going to have a kid with him this whole time? I don't have a problem with that. But going back to your question, yeah, I'm pumped up to see what it's about. I've heard some rumors saying that the game is already playable from beginning to end, which means there's a possibility we could end up getting it sometime late next year, which would be pretty surprising because I've never heard of a big budget AAA title game like that getting released so quickly after being announced. But if it did, that'd be pretty astonishing. But overall, I'm definitely pumped up to play it. I was very impressed with what I saw of it at E3, and heck, I don't mind the changes and additions that they're adding. So yeah, I'm excited for it. Next question comes from Sensko Scarpino, and you want to know, what would I like a Telltale style would I like a Telltale style Death Note game? No. I like Death Note, do not like Telltale. Don't like how they tell their games. I've never liked them, ever, so yeah, the less franchises they touch, the better. Next question comes from Joe O'Colit, and you want to know, do I know of any good Sandbox Survival games that involve traveling to and building on a new planet? Not that I can think of off the top of my head. I can't even think of games that would fit that category, so I'm sorry, I can't really help you there. Next question comes from Matthew Mr. M. Keller, and dear God, you got another Telltale game. What is with people's obsession with this developer? They don't make games. They make cinematic movies where all you do is, they're just glorified press and click games. And you want to know, with Telltale becoming a bigger company in the gaming industry, what other franchises would I want them to do? None. I want them to shut down and quit. Next question comes from Tanuki Player, and you want to know, have a good Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you, you too. Not sure that's a question, but I'm sorry it's not a question, so just a comment. Next question comes from JDS4696. You want to know, do I think that Resident Evil Vendetta will be any better than the previous two CGI movies? Yeah, it's possible. I mean, this time we got Leon and Chris, and heck, you can't argue with the two most popular characters in the Resident Evil franchise, so I'd expect it to be better. Next question comes from a first newbie of the episode going by the name of Majesty, so welcome to the channel, Majesty. And you want to know, could I do a Versus Series video with Jacked? It'd be a little bit challenging, but I don't see why not. I think maybe going into Season 4, even though I know I'm not really that far into Season 3, I think I might focus strictly on Final Fantasy characters, so Jack is definitely a possibility for a matchup, but it will definitely be a challenge. Next question comes from Nick Cote. I'll just call you Nick. Sorry, I get weird names all the time. And you want to know, will Crapcom put their corporate... Wait, what? Okay, this is weird how this is typed, but I'll try. Will Crapcom pull their Hydra heads out of their ass cracks and create an enjoyable remake / remaster, maybe even a new IP? Well, I wouldn't call Capcom. I mean, they've definitely made some significant problems, but You know, overall, I think they've made some pretty solid games recently. Not great games, but okay games. And, you know, I'm not really a Street Fighter fan. And I damn sure don't like what they're doing with Resident Evil 7 because it doesn't even look like it's a sequel. It looks like it's a reboot. So, yeah, I would say they would have to just go down the same path as Square Enix did. When Square Enix was really kind of down in the dumps, they were able to revitalize their franchise. I mean, we got Final Fantasy 15 finally came out after a decade. We're getting Kingdom Hearts 3 coming out soon. They're remaking Final Fantasy 7. I think it's only when a company is, like, nearing its own demise will it rise up to its own standards. So you kind of have to almost kill the company before it can rejuvenate itself. That's just what I believe. And the next question comes from Javonni M. And you want to know, what are some YouTubers I think need more attention? I don't know, probably myself. I mean, I'm trying to think of channels that I watch, and I would say that channels that I watch are, I probably would say they're bigger channels than mine, and they have a much more dedicated audience than I do. I'm still trying to build up my own. So I can't really think of any YouTubers that need more help other than myself. If anything, I need more help trying to catch up to those guys. So, I can't really think of any smaller channels than me that I watch, but, this is how I feel. Next question comes from HydrogaBlood881, and you want to know, do I think Qui-Gon Jinn would have made a good general in the Clone Wars, and do I think he would have opposed the Clone Army? There are so many things that would have changed had Qui-Gon lived. Do I think he would have been against the Clone Wars? It's questionable if the Clone Wars would have happened, because if Qui-Gon hadn't died, then Count Dooku wouldn't have left the Jedi Order. Therefore, Sifo-Dyas would have never had been killed. Therefore, Jango Fett never would have been recruited for the Clone Army. So you wouldn't necessarily have a Clone Wars to begin with. But I think he would be kind of reserved to be a general. Qui-Gon is a very passive Jedi. I think he would do it, but he wouldn't enjoy it. In terms of his thoughts on the Clone Army, I think he'd be kind of open-minded. He'd be a little bit hesitant, but I don't think he would be like a Jedi like Ram Koda, who was completely against clones. I think he would just try to, keep his guard up, as I believe most Jedi should have done, which is why Order 66 was so devastating to them. And the last question of the episode comes from Brandon Williams, and he wants to know, what dream matchup would I like to see in a video games? I would love to see a dream matchup between Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. I know that Capcom does not want their Street Fighter characters involved with Mortal Kombat characters, mainly because Mortal Kombat characters are better, but that would probably be my dream matchup. I mean, they've had Street Fighter characters mix up with Tekken, they're mixed up with Marvel, but the concept of having the two kings of fighting games for at least the past 20 years in one game would be crazy. But obviously for practical reasons, I know Capcom does not want their characters being mutilated by very powerful and dangerous and scary looking characters. So that would just be my dream matchup in terms of video games. And those are all the questions that you guys sent in for this episode. I'd like to thank you guys for making this episode possible. If you like this video, feel free to like, comment down below, and please subscribe to check me on future episodes with those questions. So make sure you send in your questions down below, but make sure you get them into me before next Wednesday, before I start filming this episode, or the following episode. Like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and hope you had a Merry Christmas, and see you next year. Although I think there might be one episode before the year ends. But heck, I'll see you next time.